I'm Shannon.
And I'm Holly.
And this is a Girls Gone Curious podcast, where we talk about things that make us curious. So grab your favorite drink, sit back and relax, because your show is loading. Today's episode includes the following trigger warnings, and there's a few. Mentioning topics of suicide, sexual assault, consumption of human blood without consent, use of human remains in beauty products without consent, and graphic descriptions of murder. This podcast is not suitable for children. Please listen with care. We apologize if we say any of the names or places wrong in today's episode. This week's true crime category is outside the U.S., so let's get into it.
If you were told multiple times over and over again that all of your children would die, what would you do? And if you truly believed you were cursed, when even your own mother cursed you, what would your next course of action be? For a woman living in Italy in the early 1900s, she believed that the only option would be to turn towards human sacrifice, thinking that if she took a life, it would protect the life of her children. This is the case of Leonarda Cianciulli, aka the soap maker of Correggio. This case begins with a woman named Serafina Maria Filomena Marano. She was from Monticello, Italy, and was born in the late 1800s. I could not find a date of birth on her, so. For women in the late 1800s, there were only a set few things we could do. Mainly, it was to get married and have children. It was also a very traditional and conservative time, for women at least. So, when a man who had a not-so-nice reputation raped Serafina, she was forced into marriage with him.
What the fuck?
This was because he got her pregnant. And back then, having sexual relationships and getting pregnant outside of wedlock was seen as a moral failure. To save her dignity, Serafina was forced into the marriage of a man who assaulted her. This man was Mariano Cianciulli.
I am irrationally angry right now.
Yeah. So, a side note already. In the late 1800s, women who got pregnant out of wedlock often had to give up their child. They were faced with social, religious, and economic pressure. This led them to being forced to surrender their infants right after birth. Women would keep their pregnancy a secret, and after giving birth, the infant was surrendered to foundling homes, where they were taken care of by strangers. And the foundling homes were pretty much like orphanage. They could stay in these homes until they were an adult or possibly given to a foster family. The Roman Catholic Church played a big part in this ideation. Like I said earlier, it was seen as a moral failing if you were to have sexual relations outside of marriage.
But only for the women, right? So
Yeah.
It was fine for the men, but not for the women.
Most likely. Leonarda was a child of Serafina and Mariano. It is believed that Leonarda was the child born as a result of the assault. I don't know exactly how old Serafina and Mariano were. It is possible she was younger, like early 20s, maybe like 18, but there's also a source saying that she was in her 40s to 50s. So it's back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, Leonarda would be one of 7 children. And I don't know if all these children were from
Her rapist?
Yes. I don't exactly know how all that went, because there is, unfortunately, not a lot of information on this case. And because she was born because of the assault, it is believed that Serafina, her mother, disliked and or hated her. Leonarda was born on April 18th, 1893, in the southern town of Monticello, Italy. Before the age of 18, she would try to commit suicide twice. Later in her biography, she claims the first time she tried to hang herself, but the rope broke. And the second time, she swallowed broken glass.
Oh my God.
But even after swallowing it, it did nothing. She would also claim that her mother would tell her pretty much how disappointed she was that it didn't work.
Oh my God.
And I am going to say this comes from her biography, her book. So it comes from her, but we don't know if she was telling the truth or not because of what happens later on.
Okay. I gotcha.
It just
keep an open mind. Basically.
Yeah. Leonarda's mother would tell her that she needed to meet and marry a man with money. She would marry someone, but not the man that her mother approved of. In 1917, Leonarda met Raphael Panisardi, who was working as a registry clerk. He didn't earn a lot of money, but it was enough to keep them afloat. It is also said that Raphael was possibly a lot older than Leonarda, which I'm not necessarily surprised about because I have a feeling there was a lot of younger women and older men getting married or being forced to marry.
Yeah.
In 1921, they moved to Raphael's hometown of Lauria Potenza. While there, Leonarda would be sentenced to prison in 1927 for fraud. She created fake account information at the financial institution where she was working at the time. This would cause her reputation in town to fall downhill. Many would call her a thief and, as you can imagine, a select few other words. After being released from prison, they would move to the town of Lacedonia Avellino. Unfortunately, they wouldn't live there for long because an earthquake would hit, destroying their home in 1930. This was the Irpinia earthquake that hit on July 23, 1930. Side note, the Irpinia earthquake happened in the upper Irpinia and the Vulture area. It affected province of Naples, Avellino, Benevento, Foggia, Potenza, and Salerno. The areas that were most damaged were the inhabited centers of Lacedonia, Aquilonia, and Villanova, in the province of Avellino. The towns included Rappola, Baril, Rionero, Atella, and Melfi, which were at the foot of the Monte Vulture in the province of Potenza. The earthquake was a 6.7 magnitude, and it caused about 1,400 deaths. Most of the villages hit were all 600 meters or higher above sea level. They were also all connected and contained winding and poorly maintained roads. It is believed that no preventative measures to mitigate the risk were taken before this earthquake, even though there had been multiple in the past century. Because that makes sense. Like, you have multiple earthquakes, but you don't do anything to, like...
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I mean, maybe if they didn't have money or any idea how to...
True.
The damage caused by the earthquake had certain factors that caused more damage. Some of these were the type of land they built on, like clay, sand, or gravel. Like, why the hell would you build on clay, sand, or gravel?
Yeah.
Along with the material used to build the buildings, which were often river stones bound by poor quality mortar or even just dried mud, which I don't...
Yeah.
Dried mud's not going to hold it together that well, but... I mean,
know
if
a lot
they
of
don't...
places did mud, so that's interesting.
But I mean, if you don't know anything or don't have the money to... You do what you can do.
Yeah. Because at the moment, you're thinking of, like, shelter and...
Yeah. Not necessarily thinking about an earthquake. And the last earthquake could have happened, like, 30 years ago. So...
Right.
Because of this earthquake, Leonarda and Raphael would move once again. This time it would be to the town called Correggio. During all this time of moving around and just living her life, Leonarda would get pregnant 17 times. She would lose 3 of them to miscarriage, and 10 of her children would die as infants.
Oh my gosh.
That would leave her with only 4 children that lived past that. At some point, I don't know if this was before, during, or after having children, she would visit multiple fortune tellers and palm readers. This was in hopes to hear or see if a brighter future was coming. Almost all of them would tell her that all of her children would die young. Along with this, it was believed that on her mother's deathbed, Serafina would curse Leonarda, saying something along the lines of all of her children would die, and the reason being was because of who she chose to marry. In Leonarda's book, she claims that her mother said this: "You will marry and have children, but all your children will die." End quote. Leonarda would truly believe that she was cursed, or that's at least what she claimed. We honestly don't know.
Right.
Over the years, after having miscarriages and the deaths of her babies, along with the earthquake, it drove her towards the thought of being cursed. One of the palm readers would tell her, "In your right hand I see prison, in your left a criminal asylum." This would cause Leonarda to become fixated on her children, and mainly one in particular, her oldest and favorite, Giuseppe. In 1939, while living in Correggio, Raphael would leave Leonarda. There is 2 theories of why he left. The first one was being that he drank a lot and got arrested for embezzling money from his job. The other theory is that he just left Leonarda because he was tired of her going on and on about being cursed. Either way, no matter what really happened, we don't know what happened to Raphael in the end, because we will never hear of news about him again. No one knew where he went or what he did.
Did he really go away?
That's a question. Well, and if he did go to prison, we don't know for how long or when he got out. And if he did get out, he obviously didn't go back to Leonarda, but
Right.
I mean that's because she does something else. And
Right.
yeah, let's move on with the story. Living in the 3rd floor apartment at Corso Cavour 11, Leonarda's only daughter was still attending kindergarten, or what was a daycare of some sort during the day. One of her youngest boys was in high school, while the other one was conscript into the army. Her oldest and favorite, Giuseppe, was to join the Royal Italian Army for World War II. Now, there isn't really any other information on her children, other than that almost all of her next actions were for Giuseppe. I do also want to mention that at this time, record keeping was not the best. So I'm just going off of what the information that I found. If you find something different, let me know.
Absolutely.
I talked about how Leonarda's reputation was bad in the other town, mainly being because she was sent to prison, whereas in this town, she didn't have that reputation anymore. And they didn't really have files, they didn't have the internet and stuff where
Right.
you could look up if someone's been to prison or not.
Yeah.
So pretty much her slate was pretty much wiped clean,
Mhm.
besides in that specific town. Most people would describe her as, and I quote, "the plump, middle-aged woman with salt and pepper hair," end quote. She was thought of as just a nice elderly woman who shared her baked goods and soaps, along with herbs and spices. She would also invite people into her home to spend time with and eat tea cakes she made. No one would suspect her of doing anything bad because she was well respected in this community.
Red flag number 1. No, just kidding.
Yep. Those sweet old ladies aren't always sweet. Side note. Around this time in the late 1930s to the 1940s, due to World War II, Benito Mussolini would take control of Italy. Daily life would include surveillance, propaganda, and state-mandated conformity. This would be pretty much everywhere, in public, schools, jobs, everywhere except in your home. These places would be used as instruments to spread fascist ideology. Smaller villages and towns would come to a point where families struggled to put food on the table. Men were enlisted in war, and jobs would be lost, left with people needing to find new ones. Since Leonarda was well respected, some people would begin to turn to her for advice. This could just be to voice their concerns or trying to figure out what to do next with the war happening. At some point, one person would come to her to help them find a romantic partner. This would be Faustina Seti. Faustina, who also went by the nickname Robita, she was a spinster looking for a husband. It is believed she was anywhere between the ages of 50 to 70s, which is a big gap, but
yeah.
In one source it said 50s, and another source it said 70s, so there's a lot of wishy-washy information. I'm just providing what I found.
Great.
Robita was a romantic, and she was worried she would end up alone forever. After voicing her concerns, Leonarda would tell her that she had just the solution. She knew someone who would marry her. The only thing was that it was in a different town, so she would have to move. Leonarda would say that she would set her up with this man, but at a cost. This would be 30,000 lire. Side note, from 1861 to 2002, lire was used as Italian money. In 1999, euros became Italy's unit of account until it was replaced as cash in 2002.
Interesting.
Leonarda would tell Robita that before leaving, she needed to write out letters or postcards to her family and friends. Pretty much to tell them that she made it to Pola, which is where the man Leonarda was setting her up with was, and that she was happy and safe. It would be made very clear that these had to be written before she left, and Leonarda promised to get these letters to their senders. She would also tell her that she could not tell anyone she was leaving or where she was going. For whatever reason, Robita had no problems with this. On December 17th, 1939, the day of her departure, Robita would visit Leonarda one last time before leaving. No one would see or hear from Robita again, besides the letters. The news of this would get around town, that Leonarda had connections and could help people. The next person to come to Leonarda would be Francesca Clementine Sovi. Instead of looking for love, this time, Francesca was looking for a job. She was a kindergarten teacher and or a child care personnel. Leonarda would tell her that she had the perfect opportunity for her. She knew of a school for girls looking for a teacher or advisor. Once again, it was in a different town, this time in Piacenza. And of course, Leonarda wasn't going to do it for free, so it is believed that it cost Francesca 3,000 lire. The same requirements would have to be met for this opportunity. Francesca would have to pre-write letters to her family and friends, while also keeping it to herself that she was leaving. Leonarda would also tell her just to leave all her furniture to her, and she would sell it and send the money to her at a later date. Fucking red flag.
Mm-hmm.
September 5th, 1940, Francesca would make one last stop at Leonarda's place before leaving. She would never be seen or heard from again. However, this time Francesca did tell her neighbor that she was leaving. And when her neighbor questioned Leonarda about it, feeling like something was weird, Leonarda would just assure her that everything was fine. The neighbor would believe her and pretty much move on.
Yeah. People are way too trusting.
I mean, this is 1930s, 1940s.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah.
Now, hearing that Leonarda was not only just a matchmaker, but also a person with connections, another person would come to her. Virginia Cacioppo, believed to be 53 years old, was a former soprano who sang at La Scala in Milan. She studied at the Milan Conservatory and made her debut in Bizet's Carmen, that was an opera, in July of 1904 at the Teatro Municipale in Reggio Emilia. It's unclear if she lost her job or if she was just looking for a different opportunity. But either way, Leonardo convinced her of this awesome job located in Florence. This would be a secretary job for a mysterious impresario, which was a person who organized and financed plays, concerts, and operas. Of course, it would have the same requirements, costing Virginia 50,000 lire and assorted jewels and even public bonds. She wasn't allowed to tell anyone and had to write the letters. Leonarda would also sell Virginia's clothes and shoes. Virginia would be told that she needed to leave ASAP because someone else was going to take the job if she didn't. On September 30th, 1940, the day she was supposed to leave, she visited Leonarda one last time, never to be seen or heard from again. It's a very often pattern.
Mm-hmm.
However, like the last time, Virginia did tell someone, and an eyewitness would also see Virginia at her last known location, in front of Leonarda's front door. This person was her sister-in-law, Albertina Fanti. Albertina was worried and suspicious of Virginia's disappearance. She also didn't believe that the letter that she wrote. This would lead her to reporting it to the police. Of course, the suspicion would land on Leonarda. So it's believed that the police went to Leonarda's house to question her. Inviting them into her home, she would offer them some of her baked goods, along with something to drink. All the while they questioned her, she would find some way to turn the topic back onto her son, Giuseppe. When asked, she would deny having anything to do with the missing women. The next part is unclear how it went down. Either they brought her into the station or she voluntarily went into the station. Either way, she ended up at the station. In the end, she would end up confessing, but only after they started threatening to arrest her son. If Leonarda didn't do it, they believed that her son had something to do with it. So this is a little confusing to me because I don't know if Giuseppe was already in the army or was waiting to join the army or was home from serving in.
Right.
Because if they believed it was him, he had to be at home at the time.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Unless it was just a scare tactic because they saw how much
she cares. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
However, Leonarda did end up confessing, so I don't really think that detail matters that much. When searching her house, they would find personal belongings of the women, 3 axes, 2 knives, and a cauldron. After confessing, Leonarda would go into extreme detail of what she did to these women. This is believed to be so her son wouldn't be able to be blamed for it. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Since her son was going into the military or army, Leonarda would believe that her son was going to die. So she turned towards things that weren't considered normal. This included possibly reading cult books and learning about spells to protect her children. Pretty much witchcraft. It is believed that in one of these cult books, she learned about human sacrifice. In this book, it is believed it said, "The one paid for a life with another life." We do know that she didn't get any of these ideas from the current religion, which was Roman Catholicism. And in this religion, human sacrifice was seen as a grave sin, which I think is in most religions.
I think so.
After Leonarda brought Robida into her home, she would offer her a drink. And this drink contained a drug that knocked her unconscious. Once unconscious, Leonarda picked up an axe and killed her with it. Then she would drag the body into a small room or closet to then dismember her body into 9 pieces. She would also drain all of the blood into a basin. Now this is going to be a direct quote from Leonarda's statement. "I threw the pieces into the pot, added 7 kilograms of caustic soda, which I had bought to make soap, and stirred everything until the dissected body dissolved into dark, viscous sludge, with which I filled some buckets and emptied into a nearby cesspit. As for the blood in the basin, I waited for it to coagulate, dried it in the oven, grounded it, and mixed it with flour, sugar, chocolate, milk, and eggs, along with a little margarine. Kneading everything together, I made a large quantity of crispy pastries and served them to the ladies who came to visit. But Giuseppe and I ate them too." End quote.
Oh, my stomach just did a flip.
Leonarda believed that if her son ate these pastries and lived, then it worked. So she would have to continue to do this disgusting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Francesca would be killed in the same way. Virginia would also be killed in the same way. But there would be a slight difference in Virginia's death. Once again, this is another quote from Leonarda herself. "She ended up in the pot like the other 2. Her flesh was fat and white. When it had melted, I added a bottle of cologne, and after a long time on the boil, I was able to make some most acceptable creamy soap. I gave bars to the neighbors and acquaintances. The cakes, too, were better. That woman was really sweet." End quote.
What the fuck?
You enjoying this case?
No, my stomach is literally like in my toes right now.
To me, I don't think the soap is as bad as
The cakes.
the cakes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, you're washing your body.
Yeah. Well, and she also, like, she was already dumping the bodies in the cesspool or whatever. So why wasn't she, like, after she killed him, why did she insist on making soap? And I mean, obviously what she did was wrong in so many ways, but why didn't she just take the bodies and put them in the pit instead of making shit that is used on your skin and ingestible? I don't.
Yeah. The only thing I can think, I don't know about the soap, because the soap I don't fucking understand.
Yeah.
Maybe it was because they couldn't necessarily get soap, and maybe she thought she could make money that way. But the ingesting it, I think it was part of, like, I don't know what the fuck you call it, part of the cult book that she read.
Okay.
Whereas, like, to spare a life, you gotta take another life. And I'm assuming she figured that she and her son had to ingest it to make it, like, hit the right person.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and the other thing, her other sons also enlisted.
Yeah. She
But,
was
like,
oh.
it just seems like the one is the most important. Moving on, I guess. Leonarda was sent to prison in 1940, and there wouldn't be a trial until 1946. This was due because of World War II. During the 6 years in prison, she would write a biography. The same book as I talked about earlier. This book is called Confessions of a Bitter Soul. Many people have a hard time believing that she wrote this herself. It is believed that she only had a 3rd grade education. People would also believe that her lawyers were the ones who wrote it to try and help mitigate her trial. This book is 700 pages long. One of the quotes in the book is, "I could not bear the loss of another child. Almost every night I dreamt of small white coffins, swallowed one after the other by dark soil. That's why I studied magic, read books on palmistry, astrology, spells, curses, spiritualism. I wanted to learn everything about spells to neutralize them." End quote. Doesn't give a fucking excuse.
Right.
The trials would begin on June 12, 1946, in Reggio Emilia. The prosecutors claimed that it was just her greed for money as to why she killed the victims. Police would claim that she had no regret or fear on her face. While on trial, she remained very calm, only outbursting when they said something that upset her, telling them, "I gave the copper ladle, which I used to skim the fat off the kettles, to my country, which was so badly in need of metal during the last days of war." End quote.
So that's her good deed?
Yeah, that's her good deed. Was this the same ladle that she used on her victims? Anyway, Leonarda would also provide proof to them that she was the one who killed the victims. This would be by dismembering a corpse at a local morgue, and she would do this in only 12 minutes.
Damn.
Again, this is believed to be to prove that her son didn't take part in it, and it was just her that committed the murders. Leonarda would avoid the death penalty by getting a psychiatric diagnosis. Her sentence would be 30 years in prison and 3 years in an asylum. At the age of 77, she died from a cerebral apoplexy also known as a stroke, in the criminal asylum in Pazzuli on October 15th, 1970. No one claimed her body, and she was buried in the cemetery of Pazzaguli in a pauper's grave. A prison nun remembered her as, "Despite the limited means we had, she prepared very tasty sweets, which, however, no inmate ever dared to eat. They believed they contained some magical substance." End quote.
So that's actually very interesting to me that no one claimed her body. So all of her kids, even her favorite child that she was like,
Yeah.
oh, my favorite, he can do no wrong, was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. And I do want to say in her book, she says that she sent the goods to Giuseppe. So I'm assuming he was away from home. So, like, if he was away from home, there's no way that they would. But I don't fucking know.
Could have been some scare tactics that they were using just to get her to confess sooner.
Yeah. So I have a couple mentionings. It is unknown if her son actually participated in the murders or not. It is possible that he was the one that actually delivered the letters written by the victims to their loved ones. So once again, that counteracts the, like, him being away.
Yeah.
Because I think she also says that in her book as well. So it's like...
Yeah.
Is she telling even the truth in her book?
Yeah.
Is she even telling the truth, like, at all?
Yeah.
Apparently, Leonarda was a model prisoner, always quiet, calm, and spent her time either crocheting or making baked goods. Ain't no way in hell I'm eating her. No. The murder weapons and cauldron have been preserved since 1949 and are currently in Rome in the Criminological Museum, which I think would be cool to visit. If we're ever in Rome.
One day.
One day. 4 movies have been made about this case, along with a show called Deadly Woman. 2 songs have also been made, Confessions of an Embittered Soul and Teacakes. And there was also 2 plays that were made about this case. So no one knows what happened to Leonarda's children or what they decided to do with their life or where they ended up.
Interesting.
Yes.
They might have just, like, moved away and was like, I don't want nothing to do with...
Yeah, I don't want nothing.
Any knowledge whatsoever of anybody had.
And if she was giving soap and making food for her children and all of her children were eating it, and then they find out that...
Right, I wouldn't want nothing to do with...
No, that's fucking messed up.
Yeah.
So, questions and thoughts. Besides the obvious, what the fuck?
Right. Hold on, I'll be back. I gotta go.
Let me go barf real quick.
Right.
I'm never fucking eating tea cakes.
Yeah, that...
So, we talked about it for a second, but, like, did she kill her husband? Did he really just disappear?
Was he like, nah, you crazy bitch, I'm out? But, I think she killed him. I think it might have been, like, her first taste of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was her first taste of it. Maybe she killed before that, but...
Yeah, maybe. The other thing is the palm reading and all the cult stuff, is it made up? Is it true? Or is it just an excuse to get her a lighter sentence or out of her sentence?
Yeah. Very possible. I think it's definitely a possibility, and she kind of ran with it and was hoping to maybe just end up in an asylum for a little while and then be like, oh, I'm better.
Yeah. I find it ironic that if it is true and she went and seen, like, a fortune teller, and the fortune teller, in one hand, you're going to prison, and in another hand, you're going to an asylum.
And she got both.
Yeah.
She literally got both.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's very ironic if this whole thing is true.
Right.
And the other thing is, did her son partake in it?
Yeah, there's so much
unknown.
And she conflicts herself, like in her story, like in her book, and so I think it's a possibility he participated, maybe not necessarily in the killing, but possibly in delivering the goods.
Yeah, or luring or something.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the one that spread the news about her knowing people.
Yeah, very true.
Suspicious.
Very suspicious.
Well, and like, if all of this stuff isn't actually true, there's no one really to talk about it.
Right.
Her husband's gone, or he is wherever the fuck he went. Then her children obviously didn't fucking care, because
they were like, nah.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Questions? Thoughts?
The one thought I had was about the plays, but you brought that up, that there was plays with them, or 2 plays that were done. One was on Broadway, so you brought that up. So that was one. The other one was, honestly, it was just like, there is such a struggle today with like mental health awareness, mental health help. So back then, I mean, obviously it was non-existent, it seemed like. I mean, so that was like the first thing I did. Like the first thing I wrote down was mental health was not seen as a priority of any sort during that time.
Yeah.
And even, especially for women.
Yeah. Well, and like I was talking about earlier, a lot of this information is from her book. So did her lawyers really write this? And did she actually commit suicide?
Right.
Or not saying that she didn't.
Right.
Just saying, like, there's so many.
Yeah. Was this book finished before she died, or was it?
No, so this book was written in the 6 years she was in prison.
Oh, okay.
And it pretty much finished right before her trial.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that's why people think that it's possibly from the lawyers that helped her write it. Or maybe someone in prison, maybe she was talking about it and someone wrote it for her. I don't...
Interesting.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. And did her mom actually treat her like that or not? Or was
that just a excuse for her to do what she did? I can't get over. I mean, obviously
the mom having to marry her rapist.
Yeah, that just, oh my gosh, it just infuriates me. Like that poor woman. Like, and I do feel bad for Leonarda as a baby, as a child, if her mom truly was treating her
like that, saying like, oh, like pretty much, I hate you, and I wish that when you committed suicide, it worked. Yeah, like I can't even like.
But why didn't she give her up? I mean, I guess she was married at the time, so she probably didn't have a choice. But
well, I also seen a thing not saying that this is actually what happened, and it's probably came from her book. And I necessarily wasn't going to put it in because I don't know how valid it is. It said that Serafina was raped by this piece of shit, and he impregnated her because he was, like, he thought he killed her, but she lived. So I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't.
And then that would cause, then I'm assuming her parents or people around her forced her into marriage.
Wow.
Because, I mean...
wow.
Because, like, if this... if she comes back and she's like saying, oh, this person raped me and stuff, I'm pregnant, and then they're like, oh, well, like, you're gonna have to marry this dude because you had sex with him.
Yeah, it's such bullshit, for
Yeah.
a nice way to put it.
And if you don't, then you're pretty much gonna be an outcast and no one will help you.
I'd be like, peace out, I'm moving. Like, I'll move to other areas.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, like, money, it takes money and things like that, but what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
Literally, what the fuck?
Yeah. This whole case is fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all your thoughts and questions?
Yeah, I don't have any. I just had those 2 written down.
On a lighter note, we do have TikTok up, so
Whoop, whoop.
Please go check that out and spread the news if you can. We much appreciate it.
Absolutely. As always, our hearts go out to the victims in this case and all individuals affected. With that is all we have for today. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Girls Gone Curious Podcast. Until next time.